The Stoics didn't know anything about prefrontal cortex or amygdala, even though they found many techniques which help to reduce stress, even today. But firstly, what is stress? Why did evolution preserve it? What does it to the brain from the biological point of view? And why do those methods like breathing techniques, Stoicism or meditation, why do they actually work? Let's start with the definition of stress. Hans Selye defines it as the body's non-specific response to any demand. So, the stress is an adaptation to the changing environment. Selye suggests that there are two types of stress. One is called eustress, and it is connected with positive feelings like motivation and generally growth and performance. And there's also the other one, which is called distress, and it is much more negative, and it emerges when we are anxious, when we are exhausted, and generally when we have quite difficult mental problems. But if stress can be so harmful, why did evolution preserve it? Stress in the nature increases survival. It helps organisms to develop and to accommodate to the changing environment. When there is a danger, such as predator, in the forest, for example, the animals which could be in danger stop to digest food, and thanks to it they are getting access to more energy in order to run away from the predator. This is called the fight or flight mechanism. So when we are stressed, we feel, and all the complicated organisms, we are getting ready to take fast actions, and there is energy mobilization. This so-called eustress is connected with dopamine, the hormone, and distress is connected with cortisol. So when our ancestors, let's say 5,000 years ago, had some problems such as hunger or change in the environment which make them some trouble, the second system, which is called distress, started to work, and it helped them maintain the energy. But nowadays we don't have the same problems as 5,000 years ago, and we are often stressed for far much more time than only for, 1 or 2 weeks. So what does stress do to the brain? Well, in our brains, there are some important parts of the brain, but while we speak about stress, the most important ones are the prefrontal cortex, which is here, and here, I hope you can see it, and the amygdala, which is in the middle. So prefrontal cortex is like here, and prefrontal cortex is responsible for making decisions and for thinking reasonably. And the amygdala, which is in the middle, is occupies, we can say the aspects of emotions. In this context, fear. Amy Arnsten has shown that while we are stressed, the prefrontal cortex is getting much weaker, and the whole energy goes to, we can say, amygdala. So our decision making and our rational part of mind, we can say, is getting simply weaker. There was a study called 3-year social stress test, where students had to speak in front of the panel while being wired into the machines, which were checking their states of hormones level. The researchers found that there was a significant rise in cortisol and other stress hormones. And they found also that the brain reacts to the social threats similarly to the biological ones. So how can we regulate stress? The question is not how to get rid of it, because it's not the best idea probably, but how to reduce it in the difficult situations. So one of the important mechanisms is cognitive reappraisal. It's the way of seeing things the other way, we can say. And it's connected, for example, with Stoicism, where people see bad things as not that terrible, or for example with meditations, where you don't treat your thoughts as that much important, with that much importance. And according to research made by James Gross, it reduces the emotional and physiological stress response. Also, there are many breathing techniques which work mainly thanks to the activation of parasympathetic nervous system, which is activated when we are generally not stressed. So when we breathe normally, our organisms think we don't really need that much oxygen, so probably we shouldn't be stressed, there is no danger. And thanks to this whole mechanism, we are getting less stressed. Stress is not an evolutionary mistake. It is a survival adaptation to the, we can say, changing environment. If we found our level of stress too high, we can lower it by, for example, meditation, as I said, which works on a attention and cognitive reappraisal, Stoicism, and breathing techniques. All of those affect our nervous system in order to force him to think that we are not in danger. And that's pretty much how the whole stress mechanism in generally work. So that would be it for today. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.